Peggy Young, and I repair books. The first thing, when you have books that are damaged, the first thing you do is to stand one up and you open the covers like this, and you look. This one's really sticky. Sorry. And you see if it's torn down in the spine here, down on the sides, and it's opened in the sides here. This one really isn't open very much, and it's been glued. This one will be, well, I think we'll start on another one because this one is not, it's been glued in very, very well. It really needs to be cut open, opened up. The first thing I think you do with this one, because it is so solid, is to check the pages, and you're going to have to open it up so it can be perfect bound. And when you open up a book, because it is torn, you can see inside it's split along here, so it is going to have to be perfect bound. To perfect bind a book, you open it up and you use gauze to put on the back. Now you can get it gauze like this. I like the kind that's more of a muslin rather than the gauze that's like you would strain something with. Primarily because this tends to break and tear much easier. This is a lot more durable.
Where do you get that type of gauze?
These were bought in packets, muslin. This one, also it was bought in a package, Linco, but I had issues with this time. And this one, I have no idea. I just found that I had it in my supplies. But it's really good for what we have to do. The only thing is, it might be, no, it's just about right. For large books, it's just perfect. But when a book gets to this point, it's really hard to salvage because you get this book that's very, smells moldy, and you get it around other books, you'll infect the other books. It's, you can keep it, but you need to keep it separate, and you need to keep it covered somehow and not let it touch any of your other books because it can affect it.
You're saying moldy books are contagious.
Yes.
So the question is, what you're saying is if they are something that needs to be preserved or other than the book, the content needs to be preserved, it has to be isolated somehow.
Yes. If it has a mold problem. Now, if somehow you can disinfect that mold some way, I'm not sure how.
You talked about the freeze dry. Does that take care of something like that?
You know, I don't know. I don't know because I've never seen the freeze drying process that they did. They did it in Seattle, and they have a room that they put them in. And what it did was to suck all of the smoke out of the books.
Probably some kind of a vacuum.
Yeah, kind of.
Put the whole room in a vacuum or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
They called it freeze drying, and it's. But we had to go ahead then and clean the books, but they weren't moldy, thank heavens.
What about mites? I've heard that there's book mites that are also contagious, that if people donate books to you and they've been stored improperly or whatever, that you can infect your library.
I would think, yeah.
What does it look like when there's light damage?
I don't know, because I've never heard about the mites doing it. Of course, in textbooks, you don't have to worry about that too much unless a kid is throwing a book into a dumpster or the toilet. They throw it into the toilet, it's pretty much shot, pretty much gone. So, but we've had books that have been rescued from the dumpster. So sometimes they get a little, really messy. Yes.
We had an earwig infestation one time, and it just wiped out all the books that were stored together.
Oh, yes. Earwigs love to eat. Ants love to eat.
Termites.
Termites. You
Yeah,
know,
we lost
anything
the books
like
out.
that. If you have that, then it's pretty obvious how you can get rid of the termites or the ants or the earwigs, because you can see them. Dust mites or mites that get into books are so tiny you can't see them. You see the damage maybe.
I saw a deal on YouTube. They basically break down the paper and over tiny little holes in the pages. And
Little
whatnot.
pinpricks?
Yeah. And so, gotta get rid of them.
I would think to take a paper towel with maybe some kind of,
I think you can freeze them maybe.
would be
Yeah.
worth a try.
Yeah, as long as no moisture gets.
Right.
Yeah,
You have to
put 'em in a
seal it
problems
and
with
bag it.
freezers and
Yeah.
refrigerators are the moisture.
Yeah.
And
But if you
went-
could put them in some kind of a, wrap them, I would think first, like in maybe a cloth or something that will absorb any moisture, and put them in a Ziploc bag, put them in the freezer. It would be a good experiment to try it anyhow.
I saw one lady use one of those devices that she got from Costco that sucked all the air
Yeah.
out of it and then sealed the bag.
Sealers.
Vacuum, yeah. And then,
It's
Wow.
worth a try.
What about the opposite? What about extreme heat? Would that do anything?
Not, might
Or would it
be,
damage the book?
it would dry it out,
It would dry it
but it wouldn't be damaged like moisture does. And also it might fade it a little bit. I've got books, little mystery books on my shelf at home that date back from 1900, 1912. So far, I haven't needed to fix them either. So,
I've been into used bookstores that smell moldy.
yes,
If you bought a book then, would
that's
that
one thing-
contaminate your books at home?
be very careful. Be sure they're in the fresh air for a while, or even out in the sun.
Huh?
Leave them outside for a while, the heat, in that case would help dissipate the mold. I would think it's because
I
sunlight
guess you
will kill
check the
mold.
book itself and see if it smelled moldy like before you bought it.
Yeah. I have a problem with old bookstores, antique bookstores, because of that. It just, and more it's more my allergies than anything.
Yeah.
it's the book cleaner that we got.
The book cleaner, Steve got this, and I've never tried it, but a book cleaner would be wonderful for cleaning off the covers, especially like this one, to clean the covers, or any of them where they get dirty and well, even for a mold problem or anything, water problem or anything, you could at least clean them up a little bit with a cleaner. Just put it on a little bit of paper, on a piece of paper towel, and rub it just to clean it. Yes.
So does that work on all surfaces, the cleaner? Because like the book I have right here, the
Uh-huh.
cloth book, would it work on that? Or does it work on, you know, what type of book?
I have never used this,
Okay.
but I'm
Oh,
going to
okay.
try it,
Yeah,
if you don't mind,
okay,
and we'll see.
okay.
Okay. I am a firm one for trying anything that works.
We got
You
it
can't
on
tell if it works
Amazon.
until you try it.
That's right.
And we got it on Amazon. They can look it up and see all the specs on it.
Oops. Whose book was this one? Okay, is it okay if I go ahead and cut the cover and,
Well, I don't know, it's an old family Bible,
okay, so
1840.
you're definitely gonna wanna keep it. But I keep it outside when, on a good sunny day for a while, just to let it air out. And just keep something that's lightly over it, because you don't want birds coming over and doing any droppings. Or bugs. So, but I mean, I'm not going to ruin it,
Okay,
I hope. In fact, do you want to come up here?
Make you do the operation.
Do the deed, Lana, go for it.
yeah.
Let's see, I do have rulers. Well, no. Huh? The one thing I didn't put in there was a ruler. Oh, okay, well. Other rules. And just hold it like this. And you just cut right along the edge here.
So are you using a scalpel or what?
X-Acto knife. The other knife that I really like, someplace under here.
Aha.
My handy dandy little knife. Now, I even saw some of these in an antique store. The only trouble is, I just bought new ones 3 days before that, and it was exactly the same. But this one I like because you want a very thin blade and fairly narrow. And this one fits the bill. A lot of pocket knives don't. They're bigger. So, but now, it's getting under here. Yes. This has been glued down so, we might be able just to go into the back. See if you can go in and just, I don't know, get in there even. I'm gonna let you try. With that one or with this one. This is another knife that I really used a lot, and the fettling knife, which is like this. Knives are a very, very necessary tool.
What determines which one you use?
She's going to try it with the fettling knife, but this has been glued down so solid, I don't know if we can do it.
I don't think so.
Let's see. You did an awfully good job on this to begin with.
I didn't do it.
Oh.
This is how I got it.
Okay.
No, I got that other book. It's a lot looser.
I don't want the rubber band. And this, it's still sewn.
I couldn't go and just put the glue, the muslin on top.
I'm wondering, because you'd have to go down the sides, down the back. And see, it's glued in, the sewing is, you don't want to damage that old sewing.
And then it's got those big cords.
Right, that's exactly it. You could try it, we could try it. And we don't need it as white as that one. We're trying to figure out how we're going to get into get this book so we can hold it together.
It has a wide cord
There's the heavy sewing
right
cord,
in here.
the binding
Here.
cord.
I'm gonna go get the metal ruler or a clear one.
Oh, the ruler?
Yeah, I'll go get it.
This is a new procedure that we're doing that I've never done before. But the cover and the spine are glued down so solid, but it's split between the cover and the book. Everything except the cords, and we don't want to damage those original cords. At least I don't want to, because it's part of the original book. So we're going to try and perfect bind it on top instead of going into the cover like I normally would. These are good scissors. Okay, and you want to make another one just the same size.
So is that muslin or
This is a muslin.
just like the fabric from the fabric store?
Yeah, just be sure it's a light muslin, not real heavy, because the heavier you get, the more it's going to show up when you glue it back down inside the cover here. But I like it because it's stronger than gauze.
So you're doing the front and the back covers in that? Is that what you're
Yes.
wrapping it all the way around?
Now, sometimes if the back covers is solid and not torn at all, I'll just do the spine and the front cover, the one side that's torn, so that I don't disturb the original. And if at some point the other side tears, we can always just put another layer down the spine and then down that side. So. This is the other sandpaper that we used, that I have used, and it works really good. And it was a student that told me that would, why not use that? That will work. Okay, now, we just follow your cue and glue off that, and glue it down there, and then these are my handy dandy protectors. All this is the scrap laminate. When you laminate, if you have a laminator, and you save all the scraps. Don't throw them away. Most people throw that stuff away. And I would take the end of the roll, or all the scraps, and cut them into strips. Or you can use wax paper if you're doing it at home and you don't have it. So, glue. These little brushes that Steve.
What a
Oh,
smudge.
it's not going to go in there. So, what we're going to do. My brushes at home were too gross to go and bring. Been using it now for about 20 years.
Keep them,
And-
use that long, you've been cleaning them pretty good.
You know, I put them in, I wash them out and I stick them in water. Let's see how these work. These are, oops. And no, these, not these. This is an experiment because so often glue will eat brush bristles. So you have to get some where the bristles are stiff enough, and then just hope that they'll last. And get as much glue as possible out of them. And sometimes I worked with one lady who was a teacher out at Eisenhower with special ed, and she could clean a brush that was just, she'd get every speck of it out. I never was able to manage that quite that good, but then I would keep it in water, and that keeps the brushes nice and soft.
Do you want to get down?
Yes.
This kind of brush is an actual hairbrush, or like a horse hair, something like that, because
It's,
nylon will dissolve.
Yeah.
It's a Lowell Cornwell filbert.
And this is 100% pure bristle. There's the box.
The glue you're using is something you buy from a book supply store?
Yes, it's a bookbinding glue. And this is neutral pH adhesive Linco.
You get a Winco?
It's Linco,
Oh,
L-I-N.
L-I-N. See, I was wondering why Winco had it.
And these brushes are industrial grade chip brushes, Kraus and Becker.
Yeah, they're horse hair.
Okay. Only we can't get them down in the mouth of the bottle, so we'd have to have them in a little dish or something. What we could do is, Steve, could you get me one of those cups? Oh, and for erasers, Pink Pearl. This one haven't used, or the sandpaper, or the white ink eraser. I love those white ink erasers. And I had one that would erase color crayon, which takes a special type of eraser. Okay. And after you get your book glued for the perfect binding,
Are you putting the glue on the page, or are you putting it?
well, on this book only, we're doing it on the inside of the cover, on top, and on the end sheet.
So you're actually putting it on the.
We're
not
putting it on the
cloth,
end
but-
sheet. Normally, you would never do that. So, because this end sheet could be torn out, but hopefully it'll hold. And then go ahead and glue it again.
Glue it again.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of like watercolors then.
Pretty much. So this is really an experiment. And just hope that it will be able to hold. When it's dry, we have, on this one, we'll use some of this, and it's a white tape that will cover that up and make it look a little better.
Now, is there any kind of a tape that could be used for this that you wouldn't be cutting a separate cloth and putting it on?
Possibly. That's why I was so pleased when I discovered I had this, is because I wouldn't have to cut it. It's all pinked on the edges, but, and this works fantastically well, so. But normally you just get a piece of muslin, you can even just get it in bulk, get a yard of it or whatever, and, or you can order it through book supply, but if you do that, then it's probably more expensive than you get at a fabric store.
Well, I'm just thinking, I know they sell bookbinding tapes.
Yes,
That's
just
when you're writing.
That's usually for the corners and edges, or on the spine.
Yeah.
You can put bookbinding tape, in fact, I've got a bunch of those. This is book tape. 4-inch, 3-inch, 2-inch, and 1-inch. And my favorite is the 4-inch, and this one. This one is good for like pocketbooks or where you have the wider spine and you need to protect that spine. And a lot of these, you need to have the spine protected. Yes.
Peggy, I'd like to ask you, would it be okay with you, given how you're trying to make your presentation, if the people in the audience came up and gathered around where they could be close and watch what you're doing?
The only thing is, then he can't. He
Yes,
needs-
and Steve just mentioned that he needs a kind of a corridor so he
Uh-huh.
can videotape.
What I think I'll do is to have whoever book that I work on, I'll have that person come up and work on it. Is that okay?
Is that good? Okay.
And that should, hopefully each one of you brought a book. Or you can go over and grab one off the shelf that needs read.
Thank you.
And during the break,
Yes.
the library committee would like to take a look at some of the books
Oh, wonderful.
that need to work on.
That was the whole
So
idea.
there's-
Oops.
There are
Okay. This laminate strip, this is one of the heavier pieces. And you put it right in the spine here. Take the book cover and now what this is the one thing you need to be really careful of is get that so it doesn't wrinkle up. Do is, let's see, someplace where we can brace it open.
Do you need a press, Peggy?
I've got a couple of weights up here. Here, what I'm gonna do here. See if I get a hold of it. Nope, it's stuck down. The one edge wants to kind of bubble a little bit, which happens because the cover was pulled loose a little bit more. Is that loud? Still. Okay. I need better eyesight.
Now, put that together and cross your fingers.
And then we'll do the same here. Okay? So here's your piece. And then I'm going to get a,
Should I let somebody else do this so they can see? Somebody else
okay, is there somebody who didn't bring a book today?
wants to glue some of this in?
Okay, did you bring a book? Okay. Okay, come up here and
Okay. What do you want me to do, glue?
Do the glue.
and the first
They
thing,
do the glue.
You can see that this was not done well.
what would be the first thing you do with this book?
Take the tape off.
Remove tape
Remove tape.
and hope.
What do you want me to do? Just working with you?
Does glue gun help in that situation?
Possibly. I'm not sure, because that is an oil.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
I think scraping.
Quietly scraping doesn't go good. That's what Linda says.
Okay,
Just
and
scrape
this one, see, this will go half on each side. And you just glue, so glue here
That's why I said mix
and
and
glue here, the
He
length
mind scraping.
of your gauze. And then you set your gauze on the book, on it so it's glued down.
Linda,
And
none of
try
us
to
know
keep
how to
the
make
cover as
coffee.
tight as you can.
You want me to-
We talked about it, should we make
I'm
coffee?
letting
We
you
go,
do it.
none of us know how to work the equipment.
See, and try to get that fold out.
So, and when take this.
Now, see if you can get that
The
fold,
coffee's
that
over.
cover sheet off there.
That is bad. It's so-
Online, I bought it.
Oh, okay.
I got soda. It just kind of complicated.
It is a coffee cup, but I like my soda in cups.
Your color book tape, by the way, does just about what the duct tape does. It dries out. And then it comes loose and leaves the adhesive on the book.
Isn't tape rather the last resort anyway?
I use the clear tape as a protector.
That would be like for high-use materials like in the library or something.
They usually don't want you to use anything. What you do too in there is to take all of these little layers of cardboard and you glue down each layer of that cardboard and then pinch it together as tight as you can. And if you have a little clamp, it's even better. This one doesn't need it. Then what I like to do is to put a clear tape corner over it so it won't fray out again. Usually it won't, hopefully. But, and also I use it sometimes for the edges if they're all split out. You know, if you say anything.
Cloth down book, you probably wouldn't want to put tape on it because you'd never get it off without removing it.
That's the beauty of
I didn't
the
on
clear
the other side,
book
but
tape.
It'll come off, or you don't need to take it off.
You can take it off and replace it.
Question on the laminate. You said if you have a laminator, save the scraps. Can you just buy the laminate, sometimes you can buy them in the store just to do a laminating project?
Yeah.
Can you use those?
I
Got it
brought
glued
them.
enough?
Oh, you did, okay.
Wax paper's a lot cheaper.
Wax paper, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I use this because it was a throwaway thing.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I found that it works better
save
than
it.
wax paper.
So save it, yeah.
Yeah, it's handy.
Yeah. Now, the kind that you can get in a roll, you'd use to put over the whole cover to protect it.
You should tuck this in.
Now, this one, because it has no cover, we can eat it.
You have to build one.
Yes. And for that, I don't have any colored tape, that color.
To be glued on
Uh,
top of.
Yeah.
I have the plasticized tape.
What color do you need?
For this, you'd need
Brown?
maroon.
Because
Or black.
we have some tape here, book tape.
Okay.
That's Lowell's book. You want some colored tape on it, Lowell?
Sure.
Anything to make it look better.
It's had a hard life.
He wants to put it on the front shelf again.
It's a hard one.
Well, we don't have any shelves big enough to hold it.
Oh dear.
Then you lay it down.
It's gonna be coffee table pretty again? Maybe.
It's getting all of this stuff off. And for that,
Now, what kind of scraper is that?
I call it my butter knife.
I was gonna,
It's, the Petley knife I got at one of the, like the pottery shops. I don't know if that's where this came from. And then I ordered some, but it was a long time ago.
yeah.
But it's kind of thin and yet
Yes.
it's not
Yes.
sharp on the edge.
You could also use a pocket knife, because all you're doing is scraping.
Scraping off, scrape off.
Because this has got this strapping tape.
It's more than one kind of
There's
tape.
different kinds of tape. Multiple kinds of tape.
Yes.
But use glue and
The tape would probably tell you the era that you fixed it. Yeah.
I might have some children's books that I had when I was a kid with tape on them.
Oh yeah, before they had magic mending tape.
I brought one of my daughter's books for my great-granddaughter. I'll show you what we do. I'm not.
What do we do?
I think we're doing fine.
Okay, the laminate strip, are you ready for it?
Yeah, they're putting it in.
Oh, okay. Love that laminate strips. Okay, then I'm going to get him to read this.
Maybe I'll go run this.
We'll just get it down there and
Yeah,
get
you're
it
okay.
going.
I wanted to give it to her because she's on this.
Now, what do you do
Okay.
with this now?
She
We
can
just
choose.
press it?
Okay, we'll switch books, yeah.
Just go around behind the screen.
I'll let you have this one, I'll take.
You want me to do all that work because I put the duct tape
Oh,
on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Here's a little collection of tape if he wants to choose.
Oh,
These
I
would
used
be
monofilament tape
Yeah.
before that.
let's see.
Yeah, you have all kinds of tape on there.
Yes.
Now, for this, possibly this one would be, I think it'll be fairly white enough. All the others are smaller. And he doesn't want orange on it, I'm sure. So, but, there it is.
Now, that'll get your exercise for the day.
It was easier to lift 20 years ago.
How many pounds is that? Oh,
I'm not sure.
yeah.
I've never weighed it.
About 20.
It's taking some of the cover off when I take
So-
some of the paint off.
So what could
Well-
you use if you don't have one of those? What could you use in place of that? Just a
Concrete block.
so let's say just something heavy, huh?
Well,
Okay,
that's part of
this-
mine, huh?
Big cement
Is
block.
this part of it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that must have been underneath there.
Oh, okay, great. You can scrape that off too.
Thank you.
But not the gold, not the rings, just some of the edges.
Maybe I should go over at my desk, at my table and do the scraping while you work with somebody else, because this is gonna take a while.
Well, we can open this book and see what we can do with it.
In my first book meeting with Linda, that's when we discovered there's an awful lot of scraping and then weighting. So did you do a lot of that? Did you have a lot of books? in
Remember, the sooner what you
process?
start with, you get to come back and haunt you.
Don't put duct tape on books.
Don't.
That's probably one of the main things.
They did a movie about duct tape. That's everything, I'm sure.
Don't put any tape on a book, right? Any tape or just duct tape?
Duct tape and
Masking tape.
masking tape,
Mas-
strapping
oh.
tape,
Masking tape, yeah.
any of these.
Any kind of thing. Only book tape.
Oh, and the other thing you can always have handy. Really good.
So how much,
So the difference with book tape and all that other stuff is that duct tape dries out. So
Dries out.
it's the chemical component of the tape that makes a difference.
And sometimes, the book repair tape will dry out.
Yeah.
This tape doesn't as bad. The edges will get kind of messy after a while, but that you can just simply take off and redo it.
What is that again? That's called book tape. That is called book tape.
Scotch book
Scotch
tape.
tape. Would the cleaner
I love
help?
it.
Would the cleaner help with that?
And when he gets
Not.
off the bulk of it,
When you get most of it off? Okay.
then we'll try this.
I think my wife used the monofilament tape on here.
Yeah.
Where's
In
she
wrong
at?
directions.
Blame
no
your
strength.
wife on that
There's no
mess.
strength to it, the direction she used it, so I fixed it. I put duct tape.
This
Look at
one
that.
is really not bad. It doesn't even need to be perfect bound or anything, because the covers and the gauze are solid. And you look at it and there's no hairs in the gauze. So the main thing when you stand it up and you look at it like this and you see if this the decorative part here is glued down, you want that, just touch it with glue so it can glue down, look nice. Because that you're never going to take off if you can help it. And you turn it over and you do the same thing. On this one, primarily all we're going to have to do, you glue down right in the edge here, just on the edges, maybe about that far in, just a little bit, and glue it down here, and then take your cover and set it back in place. Have it matched at the each end. So whose book is this? You want to come up here?
Did you say, so if it wasn't attached, if you fanned it open and looked inside, would you put glue down in there?
Yes.
I mean, if it was loose?
Yes.
Okay.
But you never glue the spine part because then the book won't open, correct?
Well, a lot of publishers will glue the spine.
Roll. Can you step aside?
Okay, I'll move.
Here,
Ooh.
Okay. $1,500 microphone.
Lowell,
Yep.
when you're through there, then
Try that.
use a little bit on a paper towel and try, yeah, see if it will work. There's no- you want to wipe off any excess. Okay.
Come on over, Lowell. We'll make this a workstation.
You get to try the new product.
This is why paper towels.
Uh-oh, I'm kicking things around up there. Kicking them up.
And why never throw away paper towels? I've used them a few
Trying to
times.
do that. Save that.
So, just get right in the ends. And you just go like this. Where I have my brushes. See, when you glue this and you just want it glued right along the edge, take your brush and just kind of drag it along. Okay? And just so it's just, then you can smooth it out a little bit more. And you have smaller brushes. This one we're going to try to clean off.
Okay.
But we also need to glue all of this down to the cover yet.
Okay. Now, that book, well, it was in my mom's basement for years. But also she had, as you can tell, there's some like mold. Is there mold? Okay, because I know there was soot because she had like a furnace issue where there was soot everywhere. And so would I take a paper, how would I, because you were saying about scraping the edges of the paper, because I know down around the edges it's like kind of black and, I think that's from that soot issue.
Can't read
Would
what,
that be-
you got your glasses
No.
on, I forgot to bring my glasses, read the instructions.
I see, there you go with
Best
the
results.
eraser.
Working
Try that,
until
and-
soft and pliable. Wipe surface lightly in one direction,
Paste them
using
in
a sliding stroke evenly on the surface. After 5 or 6 strokes, reshape the cleaner by working the absorbed dirt into the cleaner itself. Cleaner may leave some crumbs which can be wiped off with a clean cloth or brush.
Can I see the container? Here you go.
I'm just grabbing it.
Yeah, this is like putty.
What size is this? Oh, it's like, it's just a minute.
just kind of curious how that would work. I don't know.
You know, the devices are so handy. You find a product or something, and then you go, oh, I remember that. I don't remember anything.
My battery's dead.
Oh, no.
You wanna take a
First
picture?
of all,
Sure, I'll have it. Does they have a charger with them?
Yes.
Interesting smell.
Powerful.
I charged it last night, I'm sure.
Yes.
It's probably not that important, really. I don't care. I don't use my phone that much.
And when you get through, oops,
It's my phone.
It is hidden like that.
Maybe something.
Yeah.
now when it's dry, be sure to wipe off the excess. Okay, now for this one,
Now, would you just wrap that in?
laminate.
Laminate? Oh, laminate. Okay.
It's the thinner one.
Okay. So it just sits there like that till it dries.
Yeah, and a lot of times, actually with this one, what I'd like to do is to get it like this.
Standing there. Okay.
Yeah. Just, can you hand me that other little?
That might not be little. Smaller.
Oh,
If you don't
instead
have
of
a weight,
concrete block, you can use other books to pile up on top of another book.
yeah, you can have a stack of books, put up against it, put it up against the wall on a table. Same thing. All you need is a flat surface for it to hold on one side, shove the books up, a stack of books on the other side, and it holds it in place.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and on this one,
Okay.
okay, on this one, the gauze is all crumpled up here and very, very nasty looking. So what we'll do is to take the cover and lay it back. And this one, because it is that really thin stuff and it's loose, if it's okay with you to open it up. Let me see how to proof it bind. The matrix is just getting started.
Huh?
That's where I like it.
I guess.
And not to be nervous.
It's so bad.
After this book, it's still break.
Okay.
We may need one after this book.
Take it and just, when you are opening a book and it's a little reluctant, you just take your knife and you kind of wiggle it back and forth.
Just trying to loosen it up.
This thing's stapled.
You stapled your book too?
I didn't staple it. It came stapled. Look at that.
Okay.
This book
That
was
I really-
stapled together.
Lowell is finding things underneath that
Well, this
tape.
is perfect binding.
Okay, the staples, I want to see that again. Okay,
Yeah, you can see it on the other side.
open it up about, a good inch or more.
We don't need no fancy string, we can staple it. This is the way it was built.
You see,
Yes.
it's interesting.
But stapling,
It was
Well-
stapled. Brand new, I didn't staple
okay.
it.
So
We're
you
going to
say-
cut off this old crumpled up gauze.
I don't know about that.
So is this like a moldy book though that I should keep
So,
away
Lowell, are you
from
gonna
here?
use them or not?
What's that?
Did you find any?
It doesn't smell moldy, just, is that one
This is
page?
one we bought in
Okay, now.
1963 or 4.
Stand it up like
No, the
that.
book tape.
Okay.
Oh,
Are you
yeah, I don't have a
And-
book tape.
Yeah, we have a box.
I had a box of it, I showed her.
Oh, okay.
Over there.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to replace it.
You are?
This, it's supposed to be gone. I don't see that there's any,
Okay.
it says what it is on the front.
It goes, now they've gone clear down to the end of this line,
I don't see they need to keep that.
which would be about
Don't
seven and
run
a
away, you might
half
change
inches.
your mind.
Would be good.
No, I won't.
Okay, 7.5 inches long by,
Oh, okay,
That's what she's talking about.
okay, thank you.
oops, 2 3/4 inches, I think. Will do it. About 2 3/4 inches.
About 2 3/4 inches
By
2
7.5.
3/4. Now I forgot already. 2 3/4. I better write on that.
By 7.5.
7.5. Okay.
Yeah.
2 3/4 is 7.5. Okay.
So you get in your map,
See what we've got here.
when you repair books,
Oh, doesn't understand.
now. Let's see, this end.
So this is Ann.
Yeah.
7.5.
So we just make
My sister today, are they gonna?
That's good enough. Thank you. Everything's good. 2 3/4.
Here, hold on.
There's that.
I was gonna say, I have my pencil about. Yeah, right here, 2 3/4.
We get these in school.
Yeah. Okay, so there's,
Okay.
now I can, oh,
Measure it up here across here.
157, okay, so 7.5, right?
Yeah. Okay.
How am I doing?
Pretty good.
So where was
So
that
you
mark?
hold it.
Oh, here it is. There's that mark on the phone. Okay, that's the mark.
Right here.
Oh, I
See?
see.
And then you have something to follow.
Okay. Make the phone
There you go.
and cut.
Yep.
It doesn't feel like it's straight to me. Am I wrong or am I right?
You're right.
Okay, well, I'll just keep going here.
Let's see how she's doing that.
Okay, when you perfect bind, you glue down in the sides. And because sometimes I really mess up, I like doing it one side at a time.
Did you see how this
One
looks?
by hand.
It's just like,
Okay, now, see this is, you have to get underneath all this also.
Oh, okay, so you're really pulling the layers in.
Yeah, and hopefully it will get underneath that.
yeah. Yeah, you put them on there. And it actually, you pull the ink off of paper, pencil off of paper, you can see it
When you perfect bind, and you're perfect binding an old book,
Remember back, way back, they used to do.
This is an old book.
Something like this. I think it was very old line or something. You need it, and you
gauze,
put it on there.
to me it looks really narrow.
It's all right.
Okay, now you pull that down in there, and then go ahead and glue it again. It's spine and down in here, and then go close it up.
Okay.
Which is just the one side right now,
Okay, so I'm gluing here and in here.
in there.
Okay.
They need to get closer so they can see. Every bit of this.
Is that okay when I'm dripping it in there?
Yeah. When you're perfect binding an old book like this, where the gauze is all crumpled up and pull loose, be sure when you cut off that gauze that you get the old gauze that's, and I just trimmed it off at the edge. But you have to get under those layers of gauze and under that strip down the spine, because when you bind a book, you have a strip that goes down the spine that protects the spine. And so you want to get under that and under the gauze layers. And then you can go ahead and glue down the side on both sides, and then glue the back, the spine, and then put your gauze on, and then glue that gauze down the spine on the side again, and then down the spine itself.
Can you explain the difference between the perfect binding that you're talking about and other methods of binding?
For like a paperback book, you can glue down the spine of the book, set the book into the cover, and then
Is that called perfect binding, or is that called something else?
that's just binding the book. But perfect binding is putting the gauze on the book.
And having that
And gluing.
space so that it's flexible and opens?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, unless you mess up. And then it's a little stiff. You can still open it, you have to just kind of work at it a little bit.
How'd I do it?
Staple it together.
Okay, now we close it up.
Okay, close it up.
Now, we're just going to leave it like this, laying open, because I want that other side to dry really good, and we can do any touch-ups like in here. What I try to do is to get that laid down a little bit, and then just when it dries and sets, then I go ahead and I do the top side. I want to be sure that it's in just right, and sometimes if you do both at once, one side will be too tight. So I just try to be on the safe side, because I messed up too many times in the past.
Now, is this page,
This one will glue it,
well, I
glue
guess
tip.
pages.
No, just the two.
Oh, just the two.
Okay, when you glue tip a page, like this one to glue it in, glue tipping is just gluing right on the edge of that. Like you just go right along the edge. Just a really, really thin little line. And then you set it in properly and leave your book open when you do it. Or you can have it propped like this. But if you close it up, a lot of times that page will push out just a little bit.
So do we just leave it right now, or do we?
I would just leave it
wait
right
for
now and
Okay,
just let it dry.
okay,
And it takes a while to dry.
yes.
So repairing books takes an art of patience, because every time you glue anything, you have to wait.
Glue and wait, okay.
Okay, the next one, let's do this one.
Are we gonna take a break, Steve?
Oh, yes. Steve?
But
I'm sorry, I haven't even looked at your list here.
Yeah, we noticed.
You might want to take a drink of water anyway, you've been talking a lot.
Yeah, do you want to take a break?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, right.
Yes, and there's goodies back there for you to try.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's break time. I left my pencil there. Do you want to keep my pencil there in case you need it?
No, I'm afraid I'd break it. I'll just use the pen.
Okay.
It's a little sturdier.
Okay. It's mine.
We're rolling.
Is that yours?
And,
See, that's the.
I
Whose
have
book?
the- I have the book.
Whose book is 2 Years Before the Mass?
That's mine, and you can do everything you want to it.
Okay, you want to come up here?
Well, what, I've been up there once, maybe somebody else, because it's got loose pages, and it's been sewn, and so,
These pages right here, normally you would sew them, but if the threads are gone and the pages are all individual, you can't really sew them. In order to sew pages, for the most part, you have to have a signature. And a signature in a book is the group of pages that are printed and then folded in half.
And half,
Usually just in half.
however many. You only see the part that's folded half.
And then you sew through the back, through the center of that to the back of the book. And you do it before it's bound. If it's solidly bound and you need to glue in one signature, you can sew it and then just glue tip that whole signature in. Be sure you get the glue in all of those little threads, the holes for the threads. And I used to really like to sew children's books. And got calluses in the palm of my hand because, first of all, sometimes you have to punch holes in them. And sometimes it's really difficult because there's a lot of paper. And so I would build up calluses. And Steve got this little one for me, which is really cute. And it's very sharp, which is wonderful.
Is it an awl?
It's
or
an
is it-
awl.
It's
Mhm.
awl.
You can also make an awl, I guess, is by taking a nail and cutting off the head of the nail and then driving it into the handle. Now this one I got at a antique store, and it's an ice pick. So you can, for a lot of the tools that I use, you can go to Harbor Freight or a hardware store or your husband's toolbox, which is great, or your toolbox if you do woodwork. You can get your sandpaper, your rulers, your awl, a hammer, your knives. You can get them out of the
Did you ever
toolboxes.
try drilling the hole, save your hand?
It's hard to keep. You have to be very careful at keeping. If you had a
Keeping crumb and
vise,
everything, yeah.
I made a vise one time and I had to leave it at school.
How about a
Actually,
drill
the wood shop made the vise for me. I drew the
Maybe a drill
plans.
press too.
Yeah, you just, to make yourself a vise for books that you want to sit in and drill through the middle, using a drill or an awl. Just take the 2 pieces of board and you have the sides, 2 boards in each side, and then you put another 2 boards inside that you want ample length of the book, of any book. So you make them probably a foot and a half long. And then glue and nail them in place. So you have the base coming right together. You want just maybe this much of a separation in the center. If it's too much, your book will go through. If you have the smaller books or skinnier books.
So you use that to sew?
And I use it to drill the holes so that I can sew. I don't use it and sew that in that because it'd be too difficult. Usually you have the flat board underneath so the two boards can be nailed down or glued down. And then the vise held in place. We were talking about laminate earlier, and I found this in school supplies, and it's clear laminate. And when you use laminate to cover a book, you start out the size of the book that you want, or the size of the laminate for that book. And then you start out right at the edge, and you pull it back, you inch it back. Just a very small amount at a time. And you smooth it down, and you use either a ruler, like this would be great, or you can use a bone and your hands. And keep smoothing that down and smoothing it down, and just keep moving the laminate back so you keep covering it more and more and more and get to the spine. And then be sure it's right at the edge of the table and smooth it down over that spine. Leaving the groove on each side of your spine, you know, that indentation. And to get some good ones, you can use knitting needles, as someone suggested, or, because I don't knit, although I have knitting needles, use skewers. I love skewers because I use them for gluing instead of a brush because they're narrow and you can get it down in narrow places down in the spine. And whereas you can't use a larger brush sometimes. And you can get a whole packet of them like this. And the others, if you want to, you can use them for making kebabs. The thread that I used, this was some of my sister-in-law's thread because she had one of these big industrial machines. She's an incredible seamstress. This is waxed linen thread, which you can use. I don't really care for too much, but it would be a good idea. It's regular book thread. But I also use just a Dacron thread. Anything that's really durable, heavy duty, will work. I rated my sewing box for all my heavier threads. And the other thing that you really need a lot of, okay, but only use, this is the wrong one. This one I do it to hold just things in place like the cover or something that I don't want it to move on me. I will use this clear tape. On pages, only magic tape. Because all the other tapes have an oil in them, and they will, over time, that's why you see pages that are taped with old books, and that tape kind of oozes up, and it may have one little strip down the center that's still sticky and still good, otherwise it's just dry and brittle. So magic tape does not do that. It also, when you put it on, it's not glossy, and so it disappears on the page. If you can find it, which I prefer, is the 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch. The 1 inch is awfully wide. And when you do glue pages, or tape pages, that is kind of at an angled tear, do short pieces. Because you can hold the page in place, and if not, you've got a shorter amount where you, sometimes because you can't lift it up, it'll take the ink off, the numbers and letters and whatever. So you have to cut it. But then you can tape over it when you have to. Sometimes the page, it'll look like it's right together, but when you tape it and you open it up, you'll find there's a little space, which is very frustrating. So you really, when you do tape pages, torn pages, you have to make absolutely sure that that page is right together. And if you do short pieces, you can get it, and then you can keep working with it as you go down. Because usually it's down to the bottom of the page or to the top of the page. So, and on this one, needs to be perfect bound. But first of all, you need to go through and get the pages that are loose and glue tip them back in place. Because when it's only one page, you don't need to go and sew the whole signature back together. And your book will go, have a better chance of going together, a little better. But you have to go through it first and check to make sure that you get any loose pages glued back in. And glue tipping is one of the most common things that you can do.
So when the pages are individual, you have to glue tip each one.
Or you can do a couple of them at a time. Don't do too many more than that. And be sure your glue, now this one, and I would fix the pages before they go in. Because like this one needs to be taped along the edge. And to get those little holdovers all out and everything, so.
When you're chipping it in, how do you know how much glue to put in?
Very small amount. What I do for glue tipping,
I suppose it goes without saying, you better get your pages in the right order.
it's a good idea. Otherwise, you could end up with a book that doesn't make any sense at all.
You know, that's possible. You get so enthralled with the technique that you
Forget about the page numbering.
You forget your numbers.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling you about that box of books that were all in pieces.
Yeah.
We had to be very, very careful with
I can
pages.
see that happening.
I'm going to put these all together, and I'm not going to do it any other time. Okay. Always have a bottle of water when you're doing something like this. Because if you lay your brushes down and let them dry, it just doesn't work too well. Also, if you have bristles that are starting to come out already, pull them out. Okay. I'm going to do these just a couple at a time. Okay.
So how many is that, like 2 or 3?
You just, yeah, this is just a couple. And you just simply either drag your brush along, because you just want a little speck of glue on the edges. Not much, because you don't want it to go up into the pages. I have been guilty of that. Turn it over so you can make sure that all of the bottom page is also got a little bit of glue on.
Where are you laying that? Between
then just lay it in place. And I put a piece of laminate on it.
How far in toward the spine do you put that laminate?
As close as you can get it. Just so that it doesn't go beyond the glue, because then you're gluing to the laminate. Which it won't stick. It won't hold. It takes time. If you try to hurry at something, that's when it seems to mess up. And it's just dragging your brush along the edge.
So if you had a book like that that had 15 or 20 pages that needed to be glued, you would glue a couple at a time and then maybe let it dry a little and then add more pages until you got finished?
Probably would be a good idea, just to make sure that all of them got right in close to the spine. And when you do that, you're- just stick it.
I noticed you didn't put the laminate in between these pages you're gluing.
I'm going to put it on top.
Yeah.
If you have just a really thin strip, and then I'm just going to close up the book. And I'm going to let it set and let that dry. And then you can go through and get another page further into the book and glue it. You just need to do it one step at a time, trying so that you can get the pages in right and have them setting there like they should be. Because of the time element, I'm going to wait for this one. This one's going to be difficult because the spine's missing and also the front of the cover is missing. So what you probably should do there is to... Where did it
The
go?
boxes, the box of tape,
The box of tape. Ah. Okay.
and here's some more tape.
Okay, anything to cover it up. And buckram tape or tape like this. You could be able to use something like this. Or if you can go to some shop where you can get material.
I'm a sewer, I have lots of fabric.
Do you have any laminate? Laminate is the best because then you can even wipe it off.
Oh,
It gets
You mean like
messy.
vinyl, like
Uh-huh.
upholstery fabric?
Yeah, I mean
do that.
vinyl. Yeah, like if you can get the brown vinyl, or some in other colors, I guess. I know at Hancock's they have this beautiful.
Hancock's out of business.
I know.
But we have Fabric Depot here. Worry not.
I have not been there, so but you could go there, and when you do that, you want to cut it about an inch beyond the edges of the book. Okay, then you can fold the spine, oops. You have to fold it so that it's underneath at each end, so you have a good fold on that. And then bring it around to the sides, and you glue it down to the cover. You could take the old material off, glue it down, and then you would fold that. You can lay it open. You can take the book cover off completely. Then don't cut the laminate. You could just fold it under on all sides, and then you would cut it on the corners so that you could fold the corners and have them meet at a point, you know. And then you can go ahead and put the inside of the cover, the liner of the cover, over that and glue it down. And with each step though, when you put the glue on the cover, on the hard cover, you put it down and wait. Let it dry completely. Make sure there's no bubbles or anything in it. And then when it's all dry, then you can go ahead and perfect bind that gauze down into the sides of the book. And then you glue the gauze to the inside of the cover on each side. And then when that dries, then you put your cover liner, the inside cover of your book.
So I can
And
save
glue it down.
that print.
Save your cardboards, that's critical. And then if you want to go ahead and use this, it's in
What
pieces.
you're saying is,
The little book's mine.
this is,
Okay.
what you're saying is, I can take this off?
Yes, because it'll probably come off. See, if you do it really careful,
Okay.
when you take this off, you can usually sometimes get it off. Save as much as the liner
Okay.
on each cover as possible.
Do you have a suggestion for inexpensive liners, I think they're called end papers or something
Mhm.
like that? What do you think about using copy paper, or should you use cardstock or something?
More of a artist paper is what I like. It's not as heavy as cardstock, but it's heavier than copy paper.
It's like
Copy paper
24
is just too thin.
24 weight? Because I was able to buy a 24 weight at FedEx.
Even about like this,
Uh-huh.
which I think is an artist paper. I used to get my sketchbooks and sometimes use paper from that.
So artist paper is less than cardstock.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you can find something else, anything that you think will be as close to a little bit heavier than the pages, or just as close as you can get to the pages. Just to cover up the inside of the book, inside of the cover, because you don't want that. Usually it's a gray cardboard,
Yeah.
and you don't want that. So, and on this one, what I would take, if you can get any, Steve, you said it was filament paper? I had this, and it's a plasticized paper, but I got it probably 35 years ago. Anyhow, I would use that for covers on books like this, soft-bound books that don't have a back cover, and I would make a back cover. But you can also get other cardstock if you wanted to, I suppose, and use it because it'll work just as well.
Teslin paper.
Teslin paper, okay.
Yeah.
And on the spine, this has been stapled and torn apart. Some of it will be difficult because when they tore it apart, well, first of all, you have to tape off the pages that have been torn. Because some of them in here, the pages are torn. So you want that, but don't get it right next to the spine, within about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/16 of an inch even, because you want to be able to glue it, and glue will not stick to tape. But then you probably found that out already. So, and then you can go ahead and just re-glue the spine. This one was stapled, What you can do, but it makes it harder to open, is to use an awl or stapler, or use an awl and poke holes in it and sew it. But again, it's going to be harder to open. So you might just go ahead and trim off all the paper here and then glue it back into the cover. Just glue it together, all together. You could put some gauze on it just to reinforce it, and then just put either a tape cover using the book tape, or some type like that, and put cardstock on the back for a back cover.
One of the things I did with one of my books is got it glued together, and then I took a hacksaw and cut grooves across back, and then laid thread in it and glued it in.
Right, and some people have done that, I've seen it on.
And it seems to be holding.
Yeah, I tried that on books early on,
Mhm.
because that's the way my boss did it. And then I found out the pages had come out
Oh,
easier, and so then I started sewing them. Because he would cut off all the holes for the sewing, for the stitch marks.
oh,
And I thought,
no, I wouldn't do that.
no, that doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
I didn't say anything like, no, George, I don't do it that way because it doesn't work. He wouldn't have appreciated that.
So, my book, this cover is damaged. I have to replace this whole cardboard.
Is the corner off?
Yeah, it's missing.
But there
This
isn't
is,
much
this
of the
is the
cover.
result of a puppy chew.
Ah,
Yeah.
would you hand that back up to me?
Yes.
Let me see.
Can that be reinforced, or it
Oh,
should be
yeah.
replaced?
Yeah, why don't you get an old book and see if you can cut it down
Okay.
to the same size? Yeah, it's, if you do this, it's still not, it's not gonna be as strong.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
At the last resort, you could just turn the page around so that this corner's out here, so it bothers you.
Yeah, but it's.
You
yeah,
still
the
see
same
it.
thing. Yeah.
Do you do that to Washington Irving?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, all you need is an old book, any old book that you're going to get rid of, that you want to discard. Take the cardboards out first and save them. So that you can use
I
them
would
on
guess you
other
could go
books.
to used bookstores and they would have books that they don't want.
Also the thrift shops have.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you had mentioned that you had some that you were going to get rid of, so whenever you have to get rid of a book, just don't get rid of the cover. Because you can peel off all the, what you do is you peel off all the cardboard on it. I mean, not cardboard, but the covering on it, the material cover on it, because you don't need that. And all you want is just the cardboard inside. So, and we have a few books here. I'm going to take the easiest one first. I always like to get the easiest ones out of the way. There is oh, well, maybe not. Looks like it's okay. This one, the first thing you do when you get a book, the very first thing, stand it up, look down the sides, then see if the cause is all in place, the perfect binding, and see if this is glued down, this little trim. You can make them, but it takes, like, this one needs to be glued down. You can see where it's open. And other than that, it just needs to be glued down on the sides and get it put back together. So this is a real easy one to do this. I love skewers. When I started out, I pretty much have been self-taught in trying to get a book put back together like it was originally made. Although one time we got a whole set of books, brand new books. And as I looked at them, every single one of them need to have corners reinforced and the spines.
They don't make them like they used to.
That was when they had, yeah, and exactly. You have a cloth cover, it lasts 100 times longer. The paper covers that cover a hardcover book, but with a paper cover on it, are terrible. And that
Even though
one,
they're glued on?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's just that they're a paper type cover, it's cheap.
Isn't the glue different now than it used to be?
Uh,
It seems like the glue doesn't stick, it dries out really fast. Like you can see whole volumes of books that are, I guess you'd call them the paperback books, and they all seem to disintegrate where you get a book that's 50 years old or 100 years old and it's still glued.
yeah,
Every time like this.
isn't that true with about everything though?
It's like disposing of books or something.
Almost everything you get now, that you have that problem with, it seems like.
Called built-in obsolescence.
Planned obsolescence.
They make it so that it will break down and fall apart or disintegrate, so you'll have to buy a new one.
That's right.
And on these, you don't glue straight down the back, you glue down the sides. And you put something underneath, so you can glue all over your table. The table that we used at this high school that I went to, somebody had put a piece of linoleum on top of the table. And it worked really good because it was easy to clean. And I had a student who had one finger on each hand, and his feet were the same way. It was a birth defect. And when he came to me, they said, I don't know what he can do. And I said, well, Doug, is there anything that you are uncomfortable with? And he says, well, answering the phone. I said, okay, that's fine, we can work with that. The phone was 2 rooms over from mine. Later on I got my own, but at that time, I didn't. It took about maybe less than a week. He was running over to the next room to get the phone. There wasn't anything. The other kids all had all their fingers. Who would they ask to thread the needles?
Guy with
Doug.
one finger.
Exactly. He'd stick it underneath the linoleum and thread it. He became a mechanic.
Oh my goodness.
He loved working on cars. He had to hold a screwdriver like this. But he went to Arizona Tech School to be a mechanic, and he worked for John Deere for quite a while.
Now, was this a class you taught the students, or were these students
Yes.
volunteers?
No. This was a class of bookbinding. And
It was like an
later on, it
elective-
became a class where if they had a student with problems, who couldn't fit in with other students, I got them. Which was fine, because with me, the one time that this happened, he was the only one, it was my planning period, and he was the only student I had in there, and we got along really good. I never had a problem with him. But it was also a good class for the kids just to talk and feel relaxed.
Plus, you have a sense of accomplishment when you take something and fix it or build it or something like that.
Absolutely. That's why I always said I had the best job in the world. I had carpal tunnel surgery done on both wrists. I took 1 day off with each one.
And you were back repairing books the next day?
I took off Friday to have it done. Monday, I worked, I'd go in later after school, get the stitches out, go back to work. The bad one was, the second one, they told me I had to go in without a bandage on it. I said, I work with books. I work with dirty, dusty books. And I said, well, put the least amount that you can get away with it. So I put a strip of gauze like this and put tape around this part of my hand and around this part and freaked out the kids. But yeah, I had a friend who was going to take 9 weeks off for one carpal tunnel. And holy cow. You just want the time off, that's all.
Well, there's that.
Yeah. But when in order to get a substitute person to fill my position, one time he let the kids do anything they wanted while he sat on a chair or a stool at the front of the class. They were climbing my bookcases, they were just raising Cain on it. I said, never again. If I can't get somebody who knows what they're doing, then lock it up. So that's what they did. And then I got an assistant so they could know what I was doing. Okay. Also use your hands and push things back into place so that you have, just eyeball it. You want that cover a little bit beyond the pages, as much as you possibly can get it.
You're good.
Peggy,
Yes.
we have a book here that has this code in it, and we've tried to repair some of these books, and we have a lot of trouble keeping, like getting everything straight,
wanna bring it
having
up
the
here?
pages straight, and then to maintain this code that,
Would you bring it up here?
yeah,
We'll bring it up.
Bring it up.
I don't want to trip on all your wires there.
You can go back this way.
Wow. This side's being trapped.
Oh, you mean the,
Uh-huh. And
okay.
it's made that way, but
Uh-huh.
it's very difficult when you're gluing to try to maintain that, and we use presses and everything, and so it's just a lot of fiddling.
You just push it back in there as much as you can and then put your weight on top. But this one I would suggest putting like several books and not putting like 1,000 pounds of pressure or anything like that on it.
So you don't like book presses, you'd rather have weights?
I use my book presses all the time.
Could you
I'd
press
stack
on
up
this one?
textbooks like this, and what I do a lot of times to save room, to be able to save time and everything, I would put the books in back to back. So I'd have 2 for each layer. But when you do that, also you need to have, these press board things that you use for passing around, say, forms for people to fill out and stuff.
Yeah, cookbook or something?
Yeah. Okay, I got a bunch of those, and I had taken off the things on the ends, the clips on the ends. So we just had the boards. And you use those boards in between each layer of book, and it really helps.
So it just evens things out?
Yeah, and it keeps them nice and flat, or like this one would be a groove. But it distributes the weight. When you put a weight on it, then it distributes that weight through the whole book. And not just maybe on, just like if you have a short book on top of another one, and then the rest of it doesn't get that pressure, and you need to have pressure. Yeah, and this one, well, glue tipping. Oops. glue this back in. The other thing that's hard to match is that this where it's kind of colored, and that's hard to match because that's from age and also from the type of material they use. But when you do this, you'd have to glue this in, which you really need the pressure on the book part itself, on the book itself, because you've got the paper that has been folded over that needs to be glued down to the cover. When you do that, you've got to make sure that this part, first of all, looks like we have another page, that get the folds out of the page. Your pages will bunch up and fold up near the spine, and then when you glue it, guess what? You have this fold in it. So you just have to go through and make sure that all the pages are lined up just right. Glue the edge where you can. If it needs to be perfect bound, once you get that edge glued in, then when you open it up and perfect bind it, you've got everything together like it should be. And then you can glue the perfect binding into the sides of the cover.
Okay, now, I think one of the questions we didn't ask was, okay, you have a book like that, but it's all come apart, and you've got to put the signatures back together. How do you get that curve?
You sew your signatures, and then you can glue along the edge, so that it'll stay, and glue it in place. And then when you get it all put together, then you can perfect bind it.
Yeah.
But when you put it in, then you make sure that you just push it back in.
You just push it, you just kind of do it by eye.
Yeah,
Okay.
and push it in.
Well, how do
Just
you
be
hold
sure
it
to
like
find it.
that while it's drying?
You don't, you set it down. You push it in, set it down, be sure you've got pressure
Weight
on it.
on top.
Yeah.
Not just the book press, but weight.
You need a, I would use the weights. You could just try it, but
Oh,
I
we have
would
a lot
use
of
the
trouble
weights
with
simply
press.
because
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
They're having a lot of trouble just using the press, so you're saying
With
weight.
that specific book,
with this specific one, I think I just
Well,
use the weights.
or just use the weights.
Yeah, because you can observe it more and you can loosen it up. And if you see that it's starting to ooze out, sometimes your presses will put so much weight on it, it will redistribute the pages like you really didn't want to. So, it's kind of trial and error. See what works for you. But I like the weights, and I don't have the presses with me, so this is kind of a no-brainer with me, because the only ones I have are my two weights and books.
He has a press there.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah, your
Show
presses
your
are behind you. I
presses.
see them.
he brought a bunch of presses that he's made for us to use.
Yeah.
Whatever, thumbnail, you're not getting a lot of pressure.
Yeah, well, you can use that definitely for like pocketbooks too. You can use that because you can line them up, get it in there, clamp it down, and get more pressure on it than you could just even putting books on top. So yeah, for this one, I think because you've got to work with it with your hands so much, I would just use either stack of books or some weights or something.
Always glad to use the gravity machine.
Is that one of the books?
Is that?
For here?
Is that one of the library books?
This one is
Yes.
books from here. Okay. Yes. Speedball press.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't for this one,
no.
but for some of them. They're coming out with new things all the time.
It's got an awful ragged edge, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But you know where it goes back, because it'll fit the other part, right? Putting a jigsaw together.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but that costs a whole lot more than most.
I want you to make it.
I want you to make it, pay attention.
Well, oh, you want me to make one?
No, I don't, they do.
I
Okay.
You can make a vice
Why don't
too.
you email that to him?
I'm sure you can make one of these.
It's at Blake, it's at Blake though, right?
You don't sound like you believe that, Steve. Probably can't.
I'm sure he's very crafty. So,
You can make the vice.
Huh?
You can make a vice also.
Well, this is the closest vice I make.
No, but I mean, when you have to have
Oh,
one like
yeah, I
this.
could make something like that.
Could you use the vise to tip in pages? Would that help? Would that be
No,
counterproductive?
I don't think so.
You possibly could. I just lay it down, because then I can get them in or work them in just right. And I don't know if you could see it, but I use the edge of my skewer for glue tipping. Use the other end for tucking it in. I like multiple just. And then piece of strip of laminate or wax paper or whatever. Then you can turn it over and work on the other end. Okay, this one has been kind of peeled out. Where it's been, the paper has been pulled loose. There are little strips that have been pulled loose. Go back in and just use some magic tape on that part. Makes it harder.
Are you making this a handout?
Oh, sweet. No, I'm not relying on my, that's picture. Yeah, but that has the orders. I was writing products.
This one.
That's the Grand Canyon or where?
It's not Grand Canyon, it's Archie's.
This one the page wants to keep pushing out.
Anyway, Island in the Sky. It's Canyon.
Canyon.
But that arch, you have to hike in, you have to learn how to.
Half a mile.
But it is neat.
I'm gonna let that set for just a minute so it can dry a little bit.
Just showing the pictures of the bad man that she was in last week.
I was there. I was sure.
So was she, I mean, that's the started. It's all bad last the same day.
I did too.
Day.
Yeah. It seems like people like to see the image of someone. When you go and go, wow.
Kind of a big deal, size and all that.
Yeah. And then you guys kind of do have the museum thing, and then they have kind of a patio. When you walk out and open the doors, and it's like, it's up there, you go.
That's been used since I was there.
Wow.
And it was 30 years old, so.
Yeah, and I was like, good, I thought, so I have to put shield that, and I did not.
She didn't do that, she said she did the chicken covers and all.
And you can put a little in there, and then yeah. And if you drive, you see through and you go, oh my God, you can't tell what way.
Yeah, everything looks the same.
Every, yeah, and it's like,
And then 15 minutes later, it's
you
changed, because the
couldn't,
colors changed.
yeah, you couldn't do this, like, oh my goodness, I can imagine. Pioneer people, when they were
There's no
here.
GPS.
Yeah, no GPS.
So we had an easy out for that.
Yeah, it was.
But Steve is everyone's really. So the camera,
Yeah.
that would be very nice. That's what I used to use for. Somebody could do it.
I know.
That book has come completely out of the cover.
This one needs to be perfect bound. I cut the gauze. All the pages are intact, it just plain came out of the cover. And again, the gauze tore. Because they used just the gauze.
Now you're gluing up the spine, because it's all the pages are attached
All the
to
pages are
spine.
okay.
And then you're gonna put the gauze on that.
Then I'm gonna let it dry. This is where your vise where you can hold the
Yes,
stand
to hold it
up.
up, yeah.
Works
You could
really
use-
good.
You could use one of these to hold it up.
Well, it wouldn't stand on end, that's all very well. Mhm.
Because.
There on top to see what it
You
is.
put it, first of all, you glue the spine, and then you put the gauze on, then you glue the gauze down.
Is it possible you could use that Mod Podge glue to do some of that? Since it's
I don't know, it
kind of
depends
similar.
on, you want something that's a little more flexible, and blue glue, book glue is a little more pliable.
It has to be acid-free too.
Yeah. I don't think Mod Podge would work,
Yeah,
just some variables there.
That's
Then you just take it like this, and you lay it down so it's overlapping the table,
Jefferson.
let it dry. Problem is, I've left you guys now with a lot
don't have
of
any room
work
to
to
work.
do.
You could come over here and show them how to do this tape thing on this one. Oh, but you wouldn't be in front of the camera.
No, I wouldn't, that's true, that's true. I would, on that one, I would glue that piece of backing down on, because I think all the binding and everything is pretty good.
Yeah, so you're saying I should glue this? to
Glue
here
it
first?
on just the edges,
Just the edges?
on the edge, well, here.
Are you gonna use mesh on his atlas?
He doesn't need it.
He doesn't need it, he doesn't.
Nope, actually, the binding on it is really good. So it's really solid. So, but what you want to do is to glue on the edges here on both sides, because you don't want to glue it all the way down on the spine if you ever needed to get it off,
Yes.
to rebind it, to put the perfect binding, where you glue the gauze on and tuck it down inside the cover. Because that's the gauze that you tuck down inside the cover on each side is what's holding that book together. And this one, it still has everything. In fact, it's been sewn, it's been stapled, it's been glued. They've done everything possible to it. But gluing down the edges.
But we managed to destroy it anyway.
And glue it right down, try to match up wherever
It was or something.
yeah, right about there, because you got the groove right here.
Okay,
So we'll glue it on each side, and then he can take the darker tape, the black tape, and go over
Okay,
down
now
to
what
that point, and you can glue it just to this point, and then like this one. And then you can take clear book tape and go over the whole thing and bring it down on the sides about this far. And you cut it beyond this much so that you can cut it and turn that under on the sides so you have hinges to hold it better and smooth it down. That's the way I would do it in trying, because it's really important to salvage this one little piece because it has the name of the book on it. So if you have it on a shelf, you want to be able to read it and say, oh yeah, there it is.
Okay,
There's
now
my atlas.
when you put the tape on,
Uh-huh.
do you want it like this, or do you want to have these up and flat? See, they're flush now.
Right.
If it's up, why, the pages are very short.
No, you can lay it down to do it. You do one side at a time. Just kind of glue it on one side and wrap it around, then turn it over and do the other side.
Okay,
So you can lay it flat.
shall I glue this, shall I do this
Yes.
now, or shall I wait?
Sure, you can do it now. Here, I think you've got glue on the other side.
No, it doesn't look like it's alive, I don't see the one.
Good.
Let's put the moon,
Here, just do it, oops. Here, lay your book down and then take this piece off and glue it on the edges, just along the edge.
Would you use your skewer for that?
You could, but I think put this because you want a little strip of it,
Oh, okay.
a little bit better.
A little bit more, okay.
And then also he can lay the skewers afterwards, after he gets it done. Lay the skewers down on each side of the spine here and put a rubber band around each end and hold them in, so you can hold the skewers in place is all you need the rubber bands for. And then lay it down and put pressure on the whole thing so that you have that indentation on your books along the spine.
So would he do it after he tapes this up? I mean, after he glues this up,
Yes.
then he put the,
Yeah.
and then
And
leave
here.
the skewers there when he tapes it? So tape around the
Well,
skewers?
well, for right now, he needs to.
it's not sticking with it.
Hold on, Jeff, hold on, Jeff.
I need 4 or 5 more fingers.
Here. Now, wrap it around. Did you glue both sides?
Yeah.
Okay. Wrap it around. And then you can take it over, lay it down, and put a couple of books on it or something. Anything for weight.
I could put a clamp on it.
Okay, and on this one,
there's several books. I don't know, I got it right. I've got it on there.
Maybe if you kept it over the edge, it would keep the book flat. How's that?
We'll see.
When it's like that, the one thing you can do is.
See, I know how my wife uses this, so this back edge is not useful. I should explain to you that it says it's the World Atlas. The maps in there show railroads, not highways. It shows political subdivisions and that stuff, but it's railroad tracks.
My grandson would love that.
But
He
it is-
drives truck along the railroad tracks and sprays herbicide. Right now, he's in Texas. He's been in Texas for quite a while.
Since this was published in the early 60s, why it shows a lot of railroad tracks that no longer exist.
Yeah, they've taken out all of the ones around Yakima,
Yeah.
because they were,
And it's got genealogical significance because a lot of people worked on the railroads or rode the railroads, traveled by the railroads, and they mention that, and so you can see where they might have gone.
I'd love to see that.
And that might give you a clue of where they might have settled or in intermediate points.
I have a bunch of relatives that worked on the Illinois railroads.
When I got the map, I was really disappointed. We weren't into genealogy then, and I wasn't into railroads then. And railroad maps, that's no good. I want highways. Of course, in those days, you got highway maps free from the service stations, so they didn't care.
So that's
Hmm?
Encyclopedia Britannica World.
Yeah, it was Compton's Encyclopedia that this came with. We bought them, 63 or 4, and this came with it. Great.
But that was an odd way to do it, to start with railroads.
And we still have the encyclopedia set. If I want to look up something that's not really current,
Yeah.
I trust it further than I do Wikipedia.
well, years
And
ago,
usually they agree, but
we got the World Book because when I was a kid, I would take a stack of World Book. We didn't have books, except the World Book. And I would take, 6 or 7 World Books into my bedroom and just read and just pore over them. And,
oh yeah, they're fun. Encyclopedia is fun to read.
yeah,
You can get quite
but
involved.
the World Book has a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're gluing more pages in that one.
I just glued the end sheet down, it was torn out. And so I glued it back down, but I don't want it to, because I'm trying to match it to where it originally was.
You're using your rulers as weights?
Well, I want to prop it over. I'm trying to figure out what I can use to prop it over.
I need to cut in for a second, please. How many people, to make a copy of this presentation, it's 50 pages of paper, how many people need?
Can you make a copy to be?
Of the slides?
Library?
Yes, we will. We will do that.
About my
Pardon?
What if we just do a couple, Steve?
I'm sorry?
What about if we just do a couple and make sure that we have a copy that's going to stay here in the library for people to use as guidelines for?
Use it as a reference? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too. I think that's,
Too much, you know.
two, okay. We'll make 2.
And I drew all my own sketches in here for the diagrams, so hopefully it will help a little.
We'll also have one on the main.
How many pages is it?
50, 50.
And they're not in PDFs or anything?
We'll keep a
No,
copy.
we can make
We
one.
can keep.
I love that.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good. Somebody's up to date. Thank
I
God.
know what a PDF is.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what P stands for, but.
So, question, what, now that, like, mine is over there drying and everything, what will I do next?
Let's see, yours is this one.
Yeah.
Okay. See where it's pulled loose in the cover here?
Yeah.
Okay, you'll bring that up,
And,
and you're going to just simply take that gauze and glue it down to the cover.
so, let me see where the,
Open watch.
I know I need to, because I don't know if I can,
Okay, first of all,
because I have pages loose.
yes, that's what I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to glue tip this page back in.
With the skewer.
So can
Yes, I love my skewers. You can just drag it along the edge there.
Yeah.
Making it a
And you just roll the skewer along.
Also, it loosens off the skewer then.
Oops. And you can also catch drips.
Oh,
You just turned off the computer.
well, I'm not
projector.
this one.
The projector?
What I used.
so now that page is in.
Projector's not running.
This,
You just need a-
And you glue
this is.
all of this. You're going to have to glue the entire cover.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is all got.
Okay. And glue up here, and then we'll put the gauze in before it's set. So,
Okay, so first you're gonna glue all of this.
It's been flickering for a long time.
and then we'll
Okay.
just glue it in here, and then we'll take this gauze
Oh,
and set it down
I
in there.
see,
and glue it.
before this comes down then.
Uh-huh.
And
You-
that,
And
then
then
you
put this in
projector was
place,
running
which
off
you're
of
going to
it.
have to get
It was running off of the other
here.
outlet.
Oops, sorry.
Apparently
You're going to
there's
have to
now
pull that right
that
into
panel
the
is dead.
edge there.
into the
And it doesn't smell like it's
32.
moldy. So what you might do too is to, just to make sure, spray a little Lysol on a paper towel and wipe it off. Not so you're getting this wet, but say the,
Power to the,
You got power
okay?
here.
You want to go ahead and do that?
power to that, and we got power to the
So
projector,
which I
and to
do
the light.
first, just do the
And I just
glue.
switched those.
Just do the glue. And do that.
Is it
And I
not?
glue tipped the
Is
other
it?
already in.
Oh, look.
Yeah, the other one's already glue tipped in.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I just have to get, oh, that's okay. That's okay, I'm just gluing myself.
And
Is there
there's
an
one
on-off
else
switch?
here.
Okay. That's okay if I glue
Okay, that's
myself.
my brother.
Do I go all the way to the,
I don't know that
all
I'd
the way
like
to
that
the
to do
edge
anything.
there?
Yes, and
Where
finally,
the,
here, as much as you can peel back,
oh, okay.
you
Uh,
can just redo the
here we go.
whole
Yeah.
thing.
So all the way
So,
to the
If you can
edge.
pull it all off,
One
great.
of those,
Oh,
the plug
okay.
that I was plugged into isn't working.
Is this about the right
It's blinking
thickness?
now.
Uh-huh, perfect.
It is blinking?
It was
No, it's
blinking a
not
lot.
blinking, but it's dim.
Yeah, well,
That's because the
Yeah, I
battery's
noticed it was
completely dead.
blinking.
Oh.
It's running on battery.
Oh.
These are 2 battery cells and.
Oh, okay.
But it was plugged in.
well, it's getting electricity now, so it'll be charging.
Right. My point is though, it was running off of the cells because there was no juice going into it.
And the reason for that is,
But he
Because of
switched,
that.
he
I
switched
switched
the
them.
the
You
plug
switched them,
and
right.
the.
this
Right,
and
right,
this,
right.
this and this were loose.
Yeah.
I believe that,
Okay.
I believe that's the problem.
So when I spray the
Listen,
Lysol, I
no.
can just do that later
Just-
then?
Yeah, and put it just on the
They're,
paper
they're,
towel, don't.
now, yes,
Right,
we
don't put it on the
pushed them
paper
together.
itself.
Because it's too much
That's odd.
moisture.
Okay.
Right.
You don't want any moisture, you just want to
I
do the killing
believe
of
you have
that.
power to there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Try to
that's,
kill off anything that might be.
No, I
Keep
did.
going.
I've got 2 cells up here.
yeah,
so
there's
they just
no,
went dead.
there's no question,
Thank you
Yeah,
for this.
so I'm
because
not
I
gonna
didn't-
worry
the wall outlet has power.
Fine.
It's our connections,
beginner here.
we've switched them, and now
Maybe I
we've
gave
got
myself too
power
much of a
here, we've got
challenge
power
to
there.
start
Oh,
with.
no, not at all.
It's
Unless your
that,
extension cord had a hole.
that brings it, well, well,
I'm
we
missing a
have
whole
those,
signature on
No, I
this.
mean, his
I wanted to
extension
show
cord might have.
How I sold signatures.
well, yeah, it
Oh,
was,
yeah.
I believe it was that connection right there.
You don't
That
have any,
was a
well,
little
I
loose.
wonder, I bet they could find one around here though somewhere. Because there's gotta
Yeah,
be
I
some
don't
around here
fully
somewhere.
Yeah, I could just do this. Do we have a book here that needs sewing?
He's still doing.
Any
Go
signatures?
this way.
No, you can go out in front.
I have to go look.
Okay, I do have this one of my granddaughters.
Ah, darn it.
great-grand-
Go ahead and use that,
I
what
blew
you
it.
have then. That might be better.
Okay, I'm missing the
Taping the whole
back
thing.
signature. So, but I can still, we can still see how the
I
signatures.
think I
of
messed
this one-
something up.
What?
I started pulling this back in. And it,
That's fine.
it started falling back in.
You're fine.
Oh, can I just put it back
Yeah,
now?
all except for right along here, you want that loose enough, so
Okay,
you can
so,
glue this part in.
so I should just put it down.
Here, just a
Oh,
minute.
okay. Uh-oh.
I was just gonna do that.
Oh, okay.
Now, brush,
Now.
and a little more glue. Try not to be as sloppy as I am. Oh, that helps.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
But all or
Okay, now.
nothing here, I guess.
Hmm?
It's all or nothing.
The cover. Down over it. Tuck it in as far as you can.
What a challenge.
Hey, Lowell,
Do this and lay it as flat as you can.
What?
you gonna take some of that?
And you may
tape off?
need a little bit more glue
I guess I'll have to.
afterwards.
Are you gonna use the solid color or
But-
clear?
Yeah, solid color. I'll use the black.
Do I need to put something in between there then?
I'll just put that little box back where I store stuff,
Okay.
and you just put it back if there's any left.
Unless, I guess, we do it today. We still have,
You could.
we
Yeah,
have another hour.
and this, that's the,
It might be.
you know, with these
first
older
job
books,
to try to get it straight anyway.
that's the main thing.
Cut it and everything.
Use fingernails, looks great. There. Use your fingers, just push it back in and then
And put that in there.
actually for that,
This looks like
when
it
you
has
have to
be-
glue the whole cover in back, the inside cover, you want a piece of laminate that is big enough to cover the whole
Big enough
thing.
to cover.
Yeah, whoops. Sometimes you need to kind of lift it up and then smooth it down again because it will get wrinkles, which is what it's for.
Oh. Oh, you, oh, look at that.
Little brayer
Oh,
works great for smoothing it down, smoothing out bubbles. Okay, put that in there, right to the spine. There. Close it up, whoops.
That's
got that out
fine,
of
that's
there.
fine.
And push it
Don't wipe
back in.
it on your jeans because it doesn't come out.
No,
I know, because the last
Never.
workshop, I had it all over my pants. I kept wiping my hands and I thought,
okay,
well, it'd
and
wash
this
out.
one, you
It
glue
doesn't.
just a little bit down there, trying to get this all pushed back. And you're gonna have to go under here and glue this whole thing.
Glue all that.
Yeah, okay, have fun. Okay.
Now, would I do this in layers?
We have some.
Because you said like.
No, don't glue,
so
okay, don't glue the cardboard down
Don't
there.
do that.
Yeah, Just
So
the top,
just
just
this
the
part.
material down. Uh-huh.
You glue the material down and you
That's
glue
all.
this material down.
Yeah.
And then when you're, do you
All
eventually
done?
put the cardboard
It
down?
has to say
When it's
BPA.
all done,
After the material's done?
well, you'll bring it over like this and then just glue down just the edges so it'll stay and then put.
Oh, so
You're gonna have to
the
put
edges
tape-
will
Yeah,
stay.
but get all of these little pieces, as much as you can, unfolded and smoothed out, so you can try and cover it as much as you can with the,
So this,
The material.
you don't want to put the, you just want to do the tips with glue eventually.
except for in here, because you're gonna have to.
Except for in there.
Yeah, and then you just glue the edges. Have you ever sewn signatures on a book?
It's good practice.
Okay.
Practice on something that you
Now, on this one,
own. Or that you own.
X-Acto knives work really great, or you can use any sharp knife.
You guys do your own repairs?
You really can't be a perfectionist even if you want to be. I think I'm trying to be too much.
It's okay. Okay, this is, when you cut it, just so you can get in through the spine, you just have to you have to work at it slowly. Otherwise, you can tear the lining cover.
And is this one you're sewing?
Yes, and this one, oh, bless their hearts. They glued it right down to the spine and
Yeah.
because then you can't get at it.
Okay, so here I am trying to get this thing back in here. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
You find the center of your signature. See how this is done? It's just a whole group of pages that are folded over. That is a signature. And I'm only putting that there so I can keep it open the way I want. Use a bookbinding needle, or you could get some needles just so they have a larger eye, a little bit larger. This one has a sharp point. The bookbinding needles I used to get, that I have someplace at home, tucked away somewhere, I couldn't find them, have the blunt end. So when you get poked, it doesn't hurt.
It hurts, it just doesn't go in as deep.
It really doesn't, well, it's rounded, so it doesn't really go in that as easily. These, you can jab yourself and draw blood many times.
They're just like a blood test needle.
Pretty much. Actually, the needle, when I have to have my shots, I get shots once a month for allergies. And you want to just hope like mad that these got a sharp needle. Dull ones just are painful. And if you have better eyesight than I have, you can thread a lot better.
But you did it.
You did good.
Yeah, I had a ophthalmologist one time tell me, well, we can improve your eyesight so that you can thread a needle. I was so mad. He gave me a prescription for my glasses and I wouldn't even go get it filled. I get very stubborn. Okay, you don't tie any knots when you sew a book.
No knots.
No knots. And it's also a good idea to try and figure out where the stitches are.
So you use the same hole.
You try to.
Whoops, something came out. Is that?
Yeah, another signature.
So nobody brought any magazines today.
But magazines basically are glue tipping, which I've shown you how to just glue along the edge. Okay, and then just tuck them in there the best you can. And taping pages, tears, because that's the main thing that's wrong. And then for the spines, you can use the book tape to reinforce it so they don't tear and peel there. But the covers on a magazine are thin, so it's
thinner.
Do you guys save all the?
Question, would you just pull this little piece off?
I'm not sure, I don't think so.
if you can smooth it out, I would glue it down because it's just curled.
Periodicals. collection, and it's available online someplace.
Exactly where the some places are.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. And I was trying to use
You're
that,
like,
I
when
didn't
they
find,
gave them all away. 'cause
I didn't find that easy to access, so it's like,
They even have sewing machines that will sew books like this, so you don't have to do this.
Could you use a sewing machine with like a leather needle or something?
so.
Only if you
I
can get the
wasn't
stitches
used-
wide enough
it's
apart.
not easy getting-
Because otherwise, a sewing machine will cut the paper.
So.
Perforate it.
How far apart does it have to be? Quarter inch?
Well, probably like this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you have it like
Inch?
this,
Oh.
you'll end up with just a cut page because it'll be so close together.
Right, no, the tension is.
So you really need a special kind of,
Are you doing like a back stitch?
right now I'm just poking holes.
Oh,
I love this awl that Steve got. So sharp.
I like the idea of a roll press.
Well, actually, a drill itself, sharp on the edge.
Piecing together a puzzle.
Pretty much,
Why couldn't
yeah.
you put a
Working
needle
on
on?
books is definitely
Why
like,
couldn't you put a needle instead of a drill bit?
I think that would actually work better.
let's see. There are two over there.
No, one.
Should stick this back in the
What I heard is they do cancel the rib.
I bet you can put it into a drill bit somehow. Make it.
What I do is leave about an inch or so. This is really thin. And you know that clear shiny tape?
But you may not.
Or other tape? And this one hasn't been started yet.
At least you can pull.
So you don't pull your thread out?
Want me to get something started for you?
Oh, I just, there.
Hello came over and helped me
Thank you.
adjust mine, because I had bought it used. I wanted to be real.
It's just, if you tape down the end of your tape,
Yes.
it helps because then you won't pull it out. But you go around the first two holes twice, is what I do. It'll reinforce it
It's a table size.
and keep your pages all together.
Who knew there were
Evenly.
so many different ways to do things?
Yeah, some of them you have the two, you know, like this, or you'll just have one. You know.
So it just depends on how they've done it.
Yeah. I'm using some of my sister-in-law's tape, and it's good, strong thread, I mean,
Yeah.
but it's really thin.
Well, if you can just use the needle, I think you would do it with the drill.
Trying to get the hole
Yeah.
into the center of your page sometimes is
I bet you could put tape.
trial and error. Just depends until you get it.
Yeah, I
Go through
remember
it.
trying to do that, just threading, you know, try to get to the same spot, and you're like, I can't.
After you get the first couple, then you're okay because your pages are held in place.
How many pages are you going through there? About at one time?
Let's see.
Does it matter how many you take?
Just 2, 3. There's 5 pages here.
Couldn't get that out. Well, we could go to the festival. Yeah, we did. Sorry. Yeah, we're gonna, yeah, come over Wednesday. we're gonna-
And try to cinch them up.
Redesign.
Now, some of this thread,
Whatever, whatever.
it's really hard to cinch up because it doesn't cinch. So you just have to keep looking at it.
Oh, I see, where it kind of is loose.
Yeah.
Here at Special Project.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna be hanging out in
We've done enough
tiny
room for a lot of
closets.
people in the project. We're talking about that all the time.
If you're sewing books with a heavier thread,
Or do you guys have one here?
We don't have a labor.
sometimes it can get really difficult.
Did what?
It can get really difficult,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you're sewing like a thick book. Textbooks, sometimes you had to sew through the back
It will be bigger.
and just straight through. Then you use your pair of pliers.
This is archival quality, neutral pH, archival quality.
Then you get down to the end, you sew it around twice again to, it just reinforces it because those are your stress points.
What is that subject? Oh.
Oh, you're so smart. Why did I think of that? I'll do that.
Sometimes even these sewn books, they don't do that. And that's where it tears.
It wasn't done right the first time.
It's been years since I've seen it. Go wash that literally. But then, I can't
No, it's my turn, isn't it?
And then you come all the way back down and go around twice at the bottom. And then cut it. You don't, absolutely no knots,
Oh, yeah.
which is what I had a problem with my students. They'd always want to knot it so it wouldn't go through. Sewing books are a lot easier to sew than helmets, football helmets or football
Oh, I
pads.
can imagine.
Or Boy Scout hat.
We had a lot
Oh,
of projects, different projects.
They are. And a lot of those over the years too.
Oh, damn camera. Somehow I get things, doing things I don't want it to do, and I don't know how to keep it from doing it.
Your phone? It keeps
Oh, it's in
turning.
time lapse now, I don't know how to get it out of time lapse.
You mean it's going to sleep?
How do you get out of time lapse?
Oh, your camera. Yeah.
Oh, sideways.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, thank you. You sometimes swipe this, and like this, you push someplace, you scratch your head, you do something, or you get somebody to help you.
Now, you said that you don't knot that. How do you fasten your hands? I wasn't listening well enough.
The loose threads on the end, well, when you get through, you glue them.
Oh, I never thought of that. I thought you were gonna say 3 stitches in the end or something.
Yeah.